who sidestepped one or more of the stages of the enlistment processes. Ladies and gentlemen, it was difficult sending them home since they had been in training for almost 1 year, 12 months. Sending 34 well-trained, energetic youth who had endured military training home in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous West African sub-region with free-floating weapons and ammunitions can have severe consequences. So, they have been directed to fulfill all criteria. That's the 34. However, if they fail to meet these requirements, they will be released from training. Regarding adversely affected persons in regular career course 65 and short service course 62 who are yet to report for training, they have since been directed to discontinue their participation in the enlistment process. This means 115 regular and 75 short service personnel have been cleared to report for training in due course to join the RCC 64 intake, who we basically pardoned 34 of them, but still asked them to right the wrongs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to report at this stage that the last recruitment exercise for soldiers, non-officers, so the soldiers go to the Army recruit training schools and the various training schools, the officers will go to the Ghana Military Academy. So I'm done with the officer career. I'm now moving to the soldiers. It is important to report, let me repeat, at this stage, that the last recruitment exercise for soldiers, non-officers, was conducted in October 2021. However, the audit has revealed that 2,872 Army potential recruits who successfully completed all required processes, including documentation, medical examinations, and vetting, are yet to undergo training. Meanwhile, my visit to the Army Recruits Training School just last week disclosed the fact that the Army Recruit Training School has not been training recruits over the past 17 months. With the potential capacity for the Army Recruits Training School to train between 900 and 1,500 recruits every 6 months, a maximum of 3,000 every year, we wonder why the past administration allowed the situation of the 2,872 Army potential recruits to crystallize. Knowing that even healthy people die during military training, how can we rely on laboratory tests conducted years ago or over 6 months ago to recruit? How can we rely on body selection and fitness tests conducted years ago to inform recruitment decision now? Additionally, with the passage of time, many have exceeded the age limit. Keep in mind that the military is a profession and a vocation that entreats would-be trainees to abandon all hopes of normal life and imposes the doctrine of struggling is acceptable, dropping is acceptable, bleeding is acceptable, tears are acceptable, pain is acceptable, but quitting is unacceptable. This means once you enter, you can struggle, drop, bleed, shed liters of tears, suffer excruciating and unbearable pain, but in all these, quitting will not be entertained. Considering all these significant factors, it has been decided that new recruitment process will be conducted. A comprehensive enlistment and recruitment exercise is to be undertaken with a view to increasing the manpower strength. Furthermore, the Ministry of Defense seeks to support the Ghana Armed Forces to enhance the capabilities of the recruitment and enlistment portal ahead of the August-September 2025 manpower enhancement drive. The public is therefore advised to avoid fraudsters and scammers who pose as agents of the armed forces to recruit personnel. You engage them at your own risk. Report them to lawful authority. Joining the Ghana Armed Forces under President Mahama will be based solely on merit, not money. We seek to train soldiers who will not be in haste to provide guard duties for unauthorized persons. That era is over. The National Service Emergency Response Readiness Program. In fulfillment of a major promise by President Mahama, the National Service Emergency Response Readiness Program will begin in a few weeks. The basic military and emergency response training is a 6-week orientation training scheduled to run in 2 batches from August to October this year. 10,000 National Service volunteers are expected to kickstart this initiative, with plans to increase the number substantially next year. They are volunteers, it's not compulsory. The areas of training will include basic military orientation, first aid, basic life support, disaster or fire management, nationalism and patriotism, loyalty and discipline, leadership, mentorship, and physical training, among others. The core objective of the program is to equip the National Service personnel with the relevant skills in security, disaster preparedness, and public safety. It must be clear, however, that the training program is optional. Ladies and gentlemen, defense diplomacy, regional collaboration, and strategic outlook. In today's interconnected world, national defense can no longer be confined to borders. Security must be both local and global, tactical and diplomatic, responsive and anticipatory. Ghana understands this reality, and we are acting on it. Our approach to national security is anchored in a clear doctrine. To be secure at home, we must be engaged abroad. And that is exactly what we are committed to while remaining non-aligned. The Sahel crisis, maritime insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea, arms proliferation, and violent extremism and terrorism do not recognize borders, and so no nation can stand alone. The withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger from ECOWAS, and the formation of the Alliance of Sahel States further weakens ECOWAS. Evidence suggests that over the past 5 years, there have been several successful coups and counter-coups in West Africa. Mali 2022, Mali 2021, Guinea 2021, Burkina Faso January 2022 and September 2022, and Niger 2023. We live in a volatile sub-region. That is why Ghana has prioritized regional defense cooperation, particularly through ECOWAS and joint military platforms. I must add that our Commander-in-Chief's visit to the Sahel region early this year has been reassuring. In a similar vein, Under the leadership of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, and in close coordination with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have deepened bilateral and multilateral military relations while showcasing Ghana's reliability, professionalism, and peace-first posture. Over the past half year, we have hosted high-level defense delegations from the United Kingdom, Brazil, China, Nigeria, the United States of America, France, and Turkey. We have signed new defense cooperation agreements, including intelligence sharing, logistics support, offer exchange programs, and arms control, and participated in strategic African Union and ECOWAS defense forums where Ghana has become a respected voice in shaping regional security frameworks. Leading on the global stage, peacekeeping with honor and excellence. Ghana continues to uphold its legacy as a beacon of international peacekeeping. Our blue helmets serve not just in large numbers, but with unmatched professionalism and honor, and the world has taken notice. Aside from the trailblazing role being played by Major General Anita Asma as UN Force Commander in Syria, Major General Robert Afram is also playing a key role within the UN peacekeeping setup. Let me also add that Squadron Leader Sharon Winswood Sam was recently awarded with the UN Military Gender Advocate of the Year, which further embodies our commitment to inclusivity, protection of vulnerable populations, and gender equity in conflict zones. Squadron Leader Sam, please rise and let us see you. Congratulations once again, Squadron Leader Sam. Good. I spoke about illegal mining. We also have a Lance Corporal who was recently promoted out of 10 by the Chief of Defense Staff in the person of Lance Corporal Tay Chu. Please be upstanding. He resisted bribe from illegal miners, Galamsey operatives. Thank you very much. So, we still have very, very good men and women in our country. The Ghana Armed Forces is saturated with such talents. Ladies and gentlemen, I turn my attention to veterans, honoring our living heroes. Our veterans are the living testimonies of Ghana's bravery, resilience, and sacrifice. They are the men and women who once stood at the front lines at home and abroad so that our children could live in peace and our democracy could endure. And today, we must ensure that their service is never forgotten, their voices never silenced, and their dignity never compromised. We believe while we rightly celebrate our veterans' heroism, on various remembrance days, our gratitude must go beyond ceremony. Our gratitude must be seen in action and sustained through policy. To achieve this noble goal, we have launched a robust effort to uplift the welfare of veterans under the umbrella of the Veterans Administration, Ghana, VAG. Pay attention to the comma. 1. A new vibrant governing board has been inaugurated to oversee the administration of veterans. 2. Aggressive recovery of veterans' funds, lands, and assets is ongoing. 3. Veterans will also be prime beneficiaries of the Mahama Cares Health Financing Initiative that seeks to finance diabetes, hypertension, stroke, cancers, and kidney disease care. Equitable share. And if the serving officers on the board resist, to forget our veterans. Veterans are not relics of the past. They are pillars of our present and custodians of our history. The challenges we are confronting. Let me first acknowledge with candor the Ministry of Defense, like all critical institutions of state, inherited substantial constraints in January 2025, some of which continue to test our resolve daily. We inherited a staggering institutional debt burden of over 3.7 billion Ghana cedis. Debt that was recently uncovered by the current military high command of over $32 million owed by the Ghana Armed Forces. These legacy debts continue to constrain our ability to invest adequately in critical defense priorities and warfare infrastructure. Alongside this, we are
Kivo Energy plus Gary soaking mix. Choco malt taste, it's on point. Get set, Kivo. Get set, Kivo. Pass, dribble, shoot, that's the goal. And pay jump, take control. Get set, Kivo. Get set, Kivo. Glucose energy every time. Kivo Energy plus, the taste feels right. Fuel your fun, fuel your stride. Winning spirit, rise inside. Get set, Kivo.
Introducing Kivo Energy Gari Soaking Mix, Choco Plus Malt with Glucose Energy.
Get set, Kivo.
This advert is FDA approved.
National Service, training 10,000 youth in disaster preparedness and patriotism. Last but not least, 15, unity and progress, emphasizing collective responsibility and unity for Ghana's progress. Ladies and gentlemen, as we stand at the threshold of a new era, the Mahama Second Coming, and resetting Ghana, let us remember that our strength lies in not just our arms, but in our unity, our resilience, and our unwavering commitment to Ghana's progress. Today, we have outlined a vision for a modernized, industrialized, and inclusive defense sector that serves as a beacon of hope and stability in our region.
We must engage abroad. That is one of many memorable quotes in the minister's delivery. I could not help but notice the linguistic dexterity that the defense minister exhibited at the introduction of his presentation. I mean, he introduced his men and women present here in language that was of Shakespearean proportions. And I believe that it set the right tone for this engagement. At this juncture, I would invite members of the media present to pose any questions they have for the defense minister. I must indicate that we are hard pressed for time, so we must limit the questions to one each and avoid lengthy preambles. Introduce yourself, the media organization you work for, and then shoot at the minister. With your mouth, I must indicate.
Okay. All right, Minister Abdulhanan Adam, EIB Network. Minister, my question has to do with the presidential jet. We understand, or per reports, it's been grounded. Are there any plans for the country to purchase a new presidential jet? And currently, the president is using a different one. Does it come with a cost to the Ghanaian taxpayer? Minister, my second question has to do with the whole airport, and my colleague Ekoboache in the GH1 newsroom wants me to ask you, the president during the campaign preferred to use the whole airport to be transformed into an aviation academy. He wants to know if there are any plans for the Ghana Armed Forces to take up the place to supplement the activities in Accra and Takoradi. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Shadrach Kodamejare, Metro TV. I want to ask, like the minister ending his speech mentioned that defense is not only about the barracks and then the booth. I want to ask if the likes of, or things like defense tourism has come to his desk, because at least the likes of Exercise Sea Lion has shown us we can get closer to the military, understand their works, and also explore places like the Equator and other areas. Are we looking at defense tourism? And secondly, has to do with the military and then Galamsey fight. Before this government came in power, we had some military officers saying if the people at the top allow us, we can stop it in 48 hours. How much trust should the Ghanaian put into his administration and his people to ensure that we see the effectiveness of the military in our forest reserves and our water bodies? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Maxwell Agba. I work with Joy FM and Enjoy News. The minister, I think, hit the nail right on the head that we live in a very volatile, sub-region. The most terrorism-affected country is not 2 continents away. No, it's our next door neighbor, Burkina Faso. And some years ago, in the recent times, we've had security analysts raising the red flags and saying that we're likely to have a spillover of the terror threats into West African coastal, states. Now, with the recent geopolitical shifts in West Africa and then also in the Sahel region, it's likely to affect the terror fight greatly. I want to find out from the minister, what is Ghana's contingency plan, especially now when it seems the Sahelian countries are losing momentum when it comes to the Accra Initiative, which is supposed to help with the collaboration to help in the fight against terror. My second question has to do with the military.
Void of the lengthy preamble of the first.
No. No preambles for the second question. The second one has to do with military brutalities. Now, in 2023, we had a Shaman military brutality. It happened. I know that the Defense and Interior Committee released their report and recommended the prosecution of the officers involved. We've not seen any action regarding that. In January 2025, we had the killing of some persons described as illegal miners who tried to breach the fence, the security fence of a mine in the Ashanti region. I want to know what the status of that investigation is. And then maybe the third.
No, there will be no third question, please.
Okay.
No. Okay. Yes.
Komla Kluche. Komla Kluche, I work at Media General. Can we get some more details on the missing ammunitions you said that were moved from the armory of the Ghana Armed Forces, which has not been accounted for? This appears to pose a national security threat. We need some more clarity on that. And if you may, there's been suggestions, most especially on social media, that journalists Kevin Taylor is in the country and being housed and protected in a state facility. Can you speak to this?
All right.
My name is Peloleno from Class Media Group. My first question is, when the minister was talking, he spoke about the 3 months volunteers for the national service personnel who will be trained under the military.
Tell us how too much money no don't watch him. It was swipe ya kwen. Found Jim.
Dial star 500 hash or visit the Telecel Play app to opt in and start winning in the Telecel Too Much Money promo. Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Avoidable deaths. If there was somebody who is killed in providing basic life support, the person could have been saved. You understand? Just clearing the airway. If there is something choking the person, you clear it from there and all that. But unfortunately, our curriculum doesn't emphasize that in our schools. This is something that we need to take up and emphasize in our schools. So all the opportunities that you missed from primary school all the way to the university, the opportunity is here under President Mahama for you to fill in the gap. 6 weeks and you are done. So we expect that as many of them as possible will take advantage of it. The question about their fate, that is those who would want to join the Ghana Armed Forces. I stood here and said recruitment enlistments are going to be based on merit. That is what it is. So whatever question that comes to mind, frame it around merit-based recruitment and enlistment, and you have an answer. What do I mean? Can you imagine 2 people who have completed their national service? One participated in a 6-week training with the Ghana Armed Forces. The other did not. And then you decide, both of you decide that you would want to enlist. Who is more likely to be able to endure the few kilometers that you may have to run to prove yourself as fit to those who are enlisting? Most likely is going to be the one who participated in that training, because fitness test is part of it. By even associating with them for 6 weeks, it will diminish significantly even the kind of maybe fear or anxiety that you have when you encounter the uniform. So that is an advantage that they shouldn't miss. Even if you don't want to join the Ghana Armed Forces, for the sake of your family, for the sake of your friends, for the sake of your church members, because people sometimes collapse at church. And then announcement is made, we need a doctor. But basic life support, everybody can be trained to offer that kind of assistance to someone who is suffering. Then I moved to the whole airport and aircraft acquisition, all these put together. I must say that the whole airport is even over and above what the Air Force alone wants to do. because there is a private sector player who is also very, very much interested. So that is also being looked at seriously. Not just that, also, Afina, too, I have a request on my letter where another entity has also written to seek some level of collaboration with the Ghana Air Force. I met them last week, Friday, and then there's a third one about even the use of Air Force hangars and other facilities. And so when we talk about the Defense Industries Holding Company, these are some of the things that we are looking at. To leverage the assets of the Ghana Armed Forces, bring in the private sector so that together we can form a consortium of the willing to ensure that we optimize the use of these assets of the Ghana Air Force, which belongs to the state, and whatever dividends that will accrue to the Ghana Air Force, remember, it will in a way also reduce a bit of the capital injection that a central government makes in the long run. Yes, aircraft and acquisition and all. As I said, the three services, Army, Navy, Air Force, all have very, very constrained assets.